who was pushed to the ground by a mentally ill person died. I wonder what you think of the fact that the city's not doing anything to deal with mentally ill or homeless people and what they should be doing.
Well, that's been the primary plank of my campaign, is that we have to embrace the emotionally disturbed persons, these lost souls. What happened to the $1.25 billion that de Blasio and his wife Charlene spent on Thrive, really a non-existent program that should have been caring for these emotionally disturbed persons? So what happened to Maria Ambrosio has happened to so many other people. But I'm not going to blame the emotionally disturbed persons. They shouldn't be in the streets, the subways, and the parks.
Who are you blaming, though? What, is the city not doing enough?
Well, when the pandemic and the lockdown came, we needed the beds. So I understood. The state, municipal hospitals, the private hospitals needed the beds, so they released their psychiatric inpatients. But they never went out to retrieve them. And as a result, I deal with them all the time. Penn Station, streets, parks, subways. And you can see they're a danger to themselves and everyone else. They need their medication. They need their mental health. You have Kirby Psychiatric, a state facility on Randall Island. It's only half used. You have Creedmoor in the northern part of Queens near the Northern Boulevard. It's partly used. All that space could be used to house emotionally disturbed persons, and not only the ones in the streets, but the ones on Rikers Island who clearly are causing problems for other inmates and for correctional officers. They shouldn't be there. They should be in these mental health care facilities.
What's the city's right to involuntarily remove them from the streets, and what's your threshold for doing that?
Well, it's clear. It's what used to be done. You take them in for a psych evaluation. If you have two consenting psychiatrists who say that they need more of an evaluation, you can hold them for 90 days. And then after 90 days, you can make a determination if they should be committed or if they should be released. But how are they ever going to recover roaming the streets, the subways, and the parks? They have no medication, and whatever psychosis they had originally just gets worse and worse and worse. We are not a compassionate city. I don't know many Democrats or Republicans who are compassionate when it comes to the emotionally disturbed. In fact, if you remember in the blackout and the pandemic, they were screaming about the fact that these people were defecating and urinating in the streets. And then I said, realize you closed all the public bathrooms and lavatories. Where are these poor people to go and eliminate? Even billionaires have to do that once or twice a day. Where are these people going to? And they never, ever consider what they've done by releasing these emotionally disturbed. And I hope de Blasio, first and foremost, is going to be in this parade. And I hope the people here boo him like they did yesterday in Morris Park. I was there, and I could hear the chorus of boos as people were saying, "Get out of here, you're never here in the Bronx."
So let me ask you this. If you add this to the fact that two teenagers were shot over the weekend in separate incidents, is the city out of control?
Oh, there's no doubt. Now, it's not back to the 70s and 80s. You know, some people would like to act as if we're back at a time we had 2,000 murders a year, 5,000 shootings, most of them unresolved. But we have precipitously dropped so quick in terms of the loss of quality of life and violent crime. And it's mostly young men with guns. And I believe I'm the best candidate to deal with that because unlike Eric Adams, who's constantly talking about I carry a gun, a bulletproof vest, in order to be a role model to these young men, you have to say, look, I've been shot 5 times. I don't carry a gun. I don't wear a bulletproof vest. That's not a sign of manhood.
So what do you want to see happen?
What I want to see happen is that we got to get into these neighborhoods where I'm all the time, in the subway streets, the public housing projects and tenements, and we got to do as I say and do as I do. Young men want to look at role models. They don't want to see gun toters because then they'll say, well, guess what? Intel tells me the Bloods want to shoot me in the back of the head. So my intel suggests that I wear a bulletproof vest and I carry a loaded 9.
Curtis, some of the unions are resisting the vaccine mandate. I wonder your view on that, and also personally, can we ask you, are you vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm vaccinated quite some time ago. 2 shots of Pfizer at the Jacob Javits Center. What it should be is what I believe is fair. If you can't be vaccinated because of medical conditions or religious beliefs, or you just don't want to be vaccinated, they should be tested once a week. That to me is fair. If you notice, some civil servants, that's the rules of the city. Other civil servants, they all have to be vaccinated. That doesn't appear to be fair and square to me. So I say the compromise is, if you're not going to be vaccinated or you can't be vaccinated, they need to be tested once a week, like we all were before the vaccines. I remember the swizzle stick up my nose once a week at WABC, or you couldn't work. you couldn't work at WABC unless you were tested.
Religious exemptions.
Yes, religious exemptions and obviously medical exemptions. I wasn't aware of how many people had medical conditions when I first started the campaign that prohibits them from getting the vaccine.
Restaurants are suffering now. What do you have to say about that?
Well, if you notice, in Staten Island, where I was yesterday, you could get over the Outer Bridge Crossing, go to Red Bank, and you don't have to show a vaccine passport. Same air, same conditions. Likewise, if you're in the Bronx, you can go to Westchester. Queens, you can go to Nassau County. You don't have to show a vaccine passport. No, you shouldn't have to show a vaccine passport unless the business, which they can do as a private entrepreneur, if they insist on having a vaccine passport, that's their business. But the city shouldn't be forcing it on bars, restaurants, and nightclubs that have already had the life crushed out of them when they started the lockdown and pandemic.
Curtis, back to Columbus Day. What are you most looking forward to today for the parade?
Most looking forward to Bill de Blasio being booed, like he was in Morris Park in the Bronx. He has the chutzpah, the coolions, to show up at this parade, that fugazi Italian that he's always been. Remember, not only did he and his wife not want to honor Mother Cabrini, one of the few times they ever praised Andrew Cuomo, he said the state will pay for the statue, which is down there, Battery Park. But he's always vacillated on the Columbus statue. So he got elected claiming he was a real 100% Italian. Now watch the Italians boo him. I guarantee you almost everyone in this line of march will hear a cascade of boos towards de Blasio. Go back to Boston, where you should have stayed since you were birthed.
Anything positive to say about the parade too?
Oh, the parade, yeah, it's a celebration of Italian-American achievement, of pride, of contributions. My grandfather, who couldn't read and write, was a ditch digger who helped build what is now the U Carey Tunnel, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and my grandmother, Nicoletta. So Fidel and Nicoletta Bianchino, and to all of my relatives on the Italian-American side, hard-working. They're the equivalent, the Southern Italians, of what people from Central America and Mexico are today. They did all the grunt work. They got none of the praise. They got none of the attention. They got none of the moolah shmoolah and schiaro. But they worked hard and lived the American dream. Now it's time for a new wave of immigrants to follow in their footsteps.
Columbus should still be celebrated apart from the Italian-American heritage and the Italian daily newspaper La Stampa.
Sure. I mean, look, if you choose not to celebrate Christopher Columbus, that's your right. But New York City is the epicenter of the Italian-American community. Only Toronto has more Italians in North America. Most people don't know that. Per capita, per person in New York City. And I want to bring a Christopher Columbus statue. There have been 33 of them that have put into warehouse all across the country to Staten Island, the most Italian of boroughs. In fact, we refer to it lovingly as Staten, Italy. And I'm going to do that as mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This guy wants to meet you. He's been paying for 41 years.
Say that again?
I love the way you use the news of the weekend.
Oh.
Throw it right in your face.
Exactly.
It's so current.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Look,
Appreciate that.
do it.
Bronx. That's where I was yesterday in the
Rolls
rain.
on midnight, brother.
And they booed de Blasio at the parade.
Oh, boo!
Oh.
The chants were unbelievable. Thanks for those burgers on the midnight tours back in the day. brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck, Curtis.
Appreciate that. Bless
Stay
you.
healthy, stay focused.
Now, you know one of our number one guardian angels of all timers,
Help me out.
Eddie Brown, the treasurer of the UFA.
UFA.
That's right. He used to lead the patrol on Park Chestnut, Zuriga Avenue.
No kidding.
Toughest guy in the Guardian Angels.
Okay.
Without a doubt,
I
nobody
didn't know
wanted
his history. I
Yeah,
didn't know-
nobody wanted. He saved my life in New Orleans.
Did he ever want to go on PD back in the day?
I don't think so. I think he always wanted to be a firefighter.
Okay.
But I tell you this, a guy tried to shoot me in New Orleans when we were organizing there off Canal.
Okay.
And it was Eddie Brown who jumped him, prevented him from shooting me, right? Then that night, guess who we saw walking around in the streets of Canal and Bergen? The same guy with a hospital wristband. And he said, that's the guy who tried